The sun bleeds across the horizon of the African savanna, casting long golden shadows over a land teeming with both promise and peril. The year is roughly 2 million years ago, an age when the world was unforgiving, where survival was not guaranteed, and where our distant ancestor Homo habilis carved the first fragile footsteps of humanity into the soil of prehistory. They are small compared to what we would become, standing barely over 4 feet tall, their bodies lean, their arms longer than ours today, their faces still marked with ape-like features. Yet behind their dark eyes flickers something extraordinary, a spark, a glimmer of thought, of adaptation, of survival, the very qualities that would one day define humankind. The savanna is both their home and their trial. Herds of giant zebra, antelope, and elephants roam these endless grasslands. But in the shadows lurk silent predators, saber-toothed cats, hyenas with bone-crushing jaws, crocodiles that strike from rivers. For Homo habilis, every step is a gamble, every sound a warning. To live another day is a triumph. But survival is not just about instinct. Instinct belongs to every beast of the savanna. What sets Homo habilis apart is something far greater, the birth of intelligence, of strategy, of tool-making. And this is where their story begins. In the tall grass, a small band of Homo habilis huddles together. They are not solitary creatures like leopards or crocodiles. Alone, they are vulnerable, fragile against the claws of predators. But together, they stand a chance. They move as one, a family bound not only by blood but by necessity. Each member of the group plays a role. The young cling to their mothers. The stronger males and females keep watch, scanning the horizon for danger. The elders, though slower, carry the memory of experience, knowledge of where the rivers swell, where fruit trees ripen, and where the shadows hold death. It is here in this unity that humanity begins. Strength not in muscle but in cooperation. But tonight, their bellies ache. Hunger gnaws at them, sharper than the teeth of any predator. The grassland is vast, yet food is scarce. Fruit trees bear little this season. The group has scavenged roots and berries, but it is not enough. They are weak. They need meat. And so they look to the bones of the savanna. A zebra carcass lies abandoned, stripped by lions, left behind for the scavengers. Vultures circle overhead, tearing flesh with hooked beaks. Hyenas gnaw at the ribs, snarling and snapping at one another. For Homo habilis, this is both opportunity and danger. The meat is there, but so are the killers. One figure steps forward. His hands grip a stone, chipped and sharpened by countless strikes against another rock. This is no ordinary stone. This is an Oldowan tool, the first technology of humankind. With it, Homo habilis has discovered a weapon, a knife, a chisel. With it, bones can be broken open, and inside lies the true prize. Marrow, rich and nourishing, a hidden treasure that no predator seeks but that fuels the hungry brain. It is this tool that makes Homo habilis different. For the first time, flesh and bone are no longer barriers. They are resources. The stone tool, crude as it seems, is the first step toward dominance. The band approaches the carcass cautiously. The hyenas snarl, unwilling to surrender their feast. Yet numbers speak. Together, Homo habilis rush forward, brandishing stones, shouting in guttural cries, throwing dirt into the air. The hyenas hesitate. For a moment they calculate the odds. The apes are weak, but they are many, and they carry stones that cut. Reluctantly, the hyenas retreat into the grass, their eyes glowing with resentment. The victory is small, but it is everything. With their crude tools, Homo habilis hack at the remaining flesh, their hands sticky with blood, their stone edges pounding against bone until it cracks. One by one, they scoop out the marrow, warm and fatty, swallowing it greedily. For the children, it means another day of life. For the adults, it means strength to stand guard when the night comes. For the group as a whole, it means survival. But the marrow does something else, something far greater than survival. It fuels the most energy-demanding organ of all, the brain. Every taste of meat, every ounce of marrow strengthens the spark of intelligence. And with each generation, the minds of Homo habilis grow sharper. This is not just eating. This is evolution unfolding in real time. Night falls quickly on the savanna. Darkness is not their friend. In the absence of fire, the group huddles close beneath the branches of an acacia tree. The night belongs to predators. The roar of lions echoes across the plains. The hyenas laugh in the distance, and somewhere in the reeds, a crocodile slides silently into the water. For Homo habilis, there is no safety in the dark. They cling to each other, eyes wide, praying to see the dawn. But what keeps them alive is not just fear, it is memory. The memory of where the lions roam. The memory of where snakes coil in the grass. The memory of which stones chip sharpest, which berries poison the stomach, which rivers swell with fish. Memory, passed down from elder to child, is their most powerful weapon. Each story told in the flicker of the moon is a seed of survival planted in the minds of the young. And so, without knowing it, Homo habilis creates the first sparks of culture. Not art, not language as we know it, but something primal and powerful, the transfer of knowledge. Days turn into weeks, and the struggles of Homo habilis continue. Sometimes they find safety in scavenging. Other times they risk hunting small game, chasing hares or birds with stones. At the riverbanks they dig for tubers, pulling bitter roots from the earth. Every bite is earned, every meal a battle. But the world is not static. Climate shifts across the land. Forests shrink, grasslands spread. Food grows harder to find. Predators multiply. The pressure is unrelenting. Many groups of Homo habilis perish. Yet those who adapt, who learn, who remember, endure. And in their endurance lies the future of us all. It is not strength that will define humanity. It is not size, nor speed, nor claws or fangs. It is the ability to imagine, to adapt, to use the world not as it is, but as it could be. And in the chipped edges of stone tools, in the marrow scooped from broken bones, we see the first glimpses of that destiny. The story of Homo habilis is not one of comfort. It is not one of heroes conquering beasts. It is a story of fragility, of desperation, of survival balanced on a knife's edge. Yet it is also a story of beginnings, the first steps toward what we would become. For in their hunger they discovered meat. In their hands, they shaped stone. In their fear, they learned memory. And in their unity, they found strength. The world around them remained cruel, the nights long, the predators merciless. But through it all, Homo habilis endured. And endurance, above all else, is the foundation of humanity. The African sun blazes high above the savanna, its heat relentless, its light merciless. Dust rises from the cracked earth as a small band of Homo habilis trudges onward, their bare feet pressed into the soil of history. Hunger once again stalks them like a shadow. Their scavenged meals do not last, and the land does not forgive weakness. For too long, Homo habilis has survived on the scraps left by others, on the marrow of bones left behind, on fruits, and roots dug from the soil, on insects and eggs snatched from nests. But hunger grows sharper. Their children cry louder. The predators claim the savanna as their own. If they remain scavengers alone, extinction will be their fate. And so, a change begins. Quiet, fragile, yet revolutionary. The hunter's instinct awakens. At the edge of a shallow river, tall reeds sway in the breeze. Birds scatter overhead, startled by movement below. From the shadows, Homo habilis waits. Their crude tools are clutched in trembling hands, stones sharpened, sticks hardened by fire. Their eyes lock on their prey, a small antelope drinking at the river's edge, ears twitching at every sound. This is not the mighty lion's kill. It is not the strike of a leopard, swift and merciless. It is something new. It is patience. It is strategy. With gestures and guttural calls, the group spreads out. One circles behind the animal, another creeps low through the grass. For the first time, they are not simply reacting to the world around them. They are shaping it. The antelope raises its head, sensing danger. Too late. From one side, stones are hurled. From the other, a figure charges with a sharp stick. The animal bolts, but it is funneled toward the waiting group. A blow lands, clumsy but enough. The antelope stumbles, and the group descends. Stones crack against its skull. Hands strike, teeth tear. It is messy, brutal, desperate. But it is successful. For the first time, Homo habilis has not scavenged. They have hunted. The kill is small, but it is a revolution. With this act, humanity takes its first step toward mastery of the savannah. The feast is unlike any they have known. Not the leftovers of hyenas, not the bones stripped of meat. This is flesh still warm, fresh with life. The taste fills them with energy, with vigor, with possibility. For the young, it is nourishment that will shape their growing bodies. For the adults, it is fuel for the battles yet to come. For the elders, it is proof that their kind is changing, that they are no longer just prey hiding in the shadows. But the savannah is never unchallenged. Even as they feast, predators lurk. From the tree line, a shadow moves. Muscles ripple beneath spotted fur. Eyes glow amber in the failing light. It is Dinophilus, the saber-toothed cat, a silent killer that hunts the same prey as Homo habilis. And now, it has smelled blood. The band stiffens. The children are pulled close. Stones are lifted in trembling hands. The cat approaches slowly, its long fangs gleaming, its body low to the ground, tail twitching. Alone, any one of them would be slaughtered in seconds. But they are not alone. They are many. And they are learning. The cat lunges. The band explodes into action. Stones fly through the air. Sharp cries echo. Sticks stab forward. The cat snarls, swiping with claws that could tear flesh with ease. But the rain of stones grows heavier. The cries louder. The swarm too much. Confused, enraged, the predator hesitates. It had expected easy prey. Instead, it finds something new, something united. Finally, with a frustrated roar, Dinophilus retreats into the tall grass, vanishing as quickly as it came. The band trembles, breathless, victorious. They have survived not by running but by standing together. This moment, small as it seems, changes everything. For predators will always be stronger, faster, deadlier. But Homo habilis has something no predator can match: the power of cooperation. As weeks turn into seasons, the story of Homo habilis deepens. Their tools evolve, shaped with more precision. Stones are chipped to sharper edges, sticks hardened further. Each generation improves upon the last. Knowledge passed not just through instinct, but through imitation. Children watch their parents strike stone against stone, and with time, they learn. The birth of tradition has begun. With tools, they scavenge more meat, dig deeper roots, crack larger bones. With hunting, they bring down small animals, sometimes even challenging bigger prey when conditions allow. With cooperation, they fend off predators that once slaughtered them with ease. But the savannah remains cruel. Drought dries rivers, herds migrate, predators grow bolder, and the group must move constantly, never resting too long in one place. Yet in this endless wandering, something extraordinary emerges, the first sparks of territory, of belonging. Certain trees, certain rivers, certain caves become known to them. Safe places, dangerous places, paths remembered and retold. Memory weaves into story, and story becomes survival. One night, as the group shelters in a shallow cave, lightning rips across the sky. The thunder shakes the earth, the air filled with the scent of rain and smoke. Then, in the distance, a tree bursts into flames. Fire. Terrifying. Untouchable. Alive. The band watches with wide eyes, huddled together. For now, they do not understand it. For now, it is danger. But one day, fire will be theirs. One day, it will transform them forever. But not yet. Tonight, it is simply fear. Still, the fire burns into their minds. They will not forget. Seasons pass, generations rise and fall. Homo habilis does not conquer the world, they endure it. Every day is a battle, every night a test. They are fragile, their lives short, their deaths violent. But they are also something else. They are the beginning. With every stone chipped, with every memory told, with every hunt shared, they edge closer to becoming more than animals. Their brains grow, their social bonds tighten, their strategies sharpen. They are not yet us, but they are no longer only beasts. They are the bridge between ape and human, between instinct and intelligence, between survival and destiny. And though their story ends, though Homo habilis will one day vanish from the earth, they leave behind something greater than bones or tools. They leave behind the foundation upon which all of humanity will rise. Because of them, we learn to cooperate. Because of them, we learn to shape tools. Because of them, we learn to hunt not with claws or fangs, but with strategy and unity. And because of them, we are here today, watching, listening, remembering. The savannah is quiet now, but if you close your eyes, you can still hear it. The cries of a band of Homo habilis standing together in the face of a predator, holding stones in trembling hands, daring to defy extinction. This was the dawn of humanity. The sparks that began with Homo habilis and were carried by Homo erectus now reached their brightest glow in the hands of Homo sapiens, our species, the great innovators, dreamers, and builders. Fire was no longer fragile, no longer a borrowed gift from nature. It was ours, to summon, to command, to shape the world with. This is the story of how Homo sapiens became the true masters of fire, and how that mastery transformed not just survival, but the destiny of Earth itself. The dawn of creation. The earliest sapiens, wandering across Africa some 300,000 years ago, knew the value of fire. But unlike their erectus ancestors who preserved it, sapiens sought to create it at will. Picture a small band gathered in a rocky valley. A figure crouches, holding a stick against a dry branch. They rub, twist and blow, sweat pouring, arms aching. For hours, nothing. Then, at last, a spark. Smoke rises, embers glow, and suddenly a flame bursts to life. The people erupt in awe, not because fire is new, but because they controlled its birth. For the first time, humans were not at the mercy of lightning or volcanic ash. They were the makers of fire. This was more than survival. This was power. Fire as weapon. Fire as shield. For Homo sapiens, fire was no longer just warmth and food, it became a weapon of conquest. Imagine a hunting party at dawn. Instead of chasing prey blindly, they used fire to drive herds of bison into narrow canyons where spears awaited. They burned sections of forest to flush out boars and deer. They created firescapes, bending landscapes to their will. Predators once feared became rivals humans could defeat. Wolves and lions circled the flames but dared not cross. Crocodiles avoided rivers lit with burning torches. Fire was the equalizer, the force that turned fragile humans into apex hunters. But it was also more. Fire was not just protection, it was dominion over nature. Hearths, homes, and tribes. Where Homo erectus carried fire, sapiens built hearths. In caves across Europe, archaeologists find blackened walls, ash pits, and rings of stones, the remains of carefully built fireplaces. Unlike scattered fires of the past, these were designed, intentional, permanent. The hearth became the center of the tribe. Around it, people slept, worked, carved tools, and shared food. It wasn't just heat. It was home. The fire was kept alive day and night, watched over like a living heart. Children grew up knowing its warmth. Elders told stories in its glow. Lovers whispered in its shadows. Around the hearth, humanity found identity and belonging. This was the true birth of society. Fire sparks, imagination. With fire came time. Before fire, nights were short and dangerous. Sleep came quickly, huddled in darkness. But with flames to hold back predators, sapiens could stay awake longer. And what did they do with this time? They imagined. Around campfires, the first myths were spoken. Shadows on cave walls became animals, spirits, and gods. Sparks flying into the night sky were seen as ancestors rising to the heavens. Here, under firelight, language blossomed. Art was born. Culture grew. Fire was no longer just physical, it was spiritual. The flame became a bridge between the human and the divine. Fire in the age of migration. As sapiens spread from Africa into Europe, Asia, and eventually the Americas, fire went with them. Across the tundras of Ice Age Siberia, fire kept them alive against bitter winds. In the jungles of Southeast Asia, it cleared paths and smoked out insects. In deserts, it provided light for travel under the cool of night. Everywhere sapiens went, they carried not just tools, but the knowledge of fire-making, the secret that set them apart from all other creatures. This knowledge turned Homo sapiens into the most adaptable species on Earth. While other animals were bound by climate, humans carried portable warmth and light. They could thrive anywhere. And so they spread, guided by flames, until their footprints touched every continent. Fire as art and power. By now, fire was no longer just survival. It was art, ritual, and power. In caves like Chauvet and Lascaux, sapiens painted animals on walls, lit by flickering torches that made the drawings seem to move. Fire gave life to art, creating the illusion of motion thousands of years before cinema. In rituals, entire tribes danced around bonfires, calling to spirits, celebrating hunts, or mourning the dead. Fire became sacred, a symbol of life and renewal. It was also political. The one who controlled the fire, who could make it, tend it, or keep it alive, held authority. Leaders rose not just by strength, but by knowledge of flame. Fire was power, and power shaped early societies. The double-edged flame. Yet mastery of fire also brought danger. A campfire too large could consume a forest. A torch left untended could burn an entire grassland. Whole ecosystems were reshaped by human flames, sometimes for survival, sometimes by accident. Fire gave sapiens dominion, but it also gave them responsibility. To wield it wisely was survival. To wield it recklessly was destruction. This duality, the creative and destructive force of fire, would follow humanity forever. The first civilizations of flame. As sapiens settled and began farming, fire took on new roles. It cleared land for crops, hardened clay into pottery, and forged weapons from metal. Villages became cities, cities became civilizations, all because fire allowed it. Every great leap of human history, agriculture, metallurgy, warfare, and eventually industry, was built on fire. But it all began with those first sapiens, crouched in the night, coaxing sparks into flame, whispering in awe as the fire roared to life. Outro, cinematic closure for the trilogy. From the fragile embers of Homo habilis, to the carried flames of Homo erectus, and finally to the roaring hearths of Homo sapiens, fire shaped us. It gave us safety, community, imagination, and power. It turned animals into humans, and humans into masters of the earth. But fire's story does not end in prehistory. It carried forward into the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, and the Age of Industry. Even today, every engine, every city, every light is the child of that first flame. And so, as we gaze into firelight, we are not just looking at heat and light. We are looking at the very force that made us human. The discovery of fire was not just survival, it was the birth of civilization itself.